Hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, a podcast about all that crap we just love to talk about on Ye Old Bravo. Although today is not about Bravo, today is Winter is Crappening Day. So today we are talking House of the Dragon. We're talking episode 4, a big dragony episode. And if you are listening on Winter is Crappening and you're Bravo curious, come join us on Watch What Crappens. And if you're listening on Watch What Crappens and you really only want to hear about House of the Dragon and none of the Bravo stuff, go subscribe on Winter's Crappening, and it's 2 simultaneous feeds with all this stuff. So anyway, how's it going, Ronnie? What's going on?
Good. How are you doing, you little honey pie?
I'm great. It's Monday morning. We just had a very...
I'm fucking lying. Why am I saying I'm great? I'm not great. I actually just finished watching House of the Dragon, and I'm not happy. I was very sad.
Yeah.
And also, not only was I sad about that, I cried in that, and then I also cried in Love Island. Who does that? I didn't know you cry during Love Island. No one told me that. I'm new to that show, so I started crying during that bullshit too. So I cried during a completely classy show and then during a complete bottom of the barrel hoe show. So, I mean, I've cried across the gamut this morning.
Wow. Yeah, well, you know what? You're allowed to cry anywhere you want to cry.
Well, I did.
Yeah, well, it was an emotional time for TV viewers this week, a very emotional time. We're going to talk about Love Island on our bonus episode again this week. So join us on patreon.com/Watch What Crappens. You can also watch our recaps, not just listen to them, by supporting at the Crappens on Demand level. So come join us. A lot of fun that we're having on that we have there. And I think that's basically it. This is a huge episode of House of the Dragon. So we might as well get into it. This is the episode where the dragons started to fight. This is like a war of dragons. And now the dragons are dragoning it up.
What a crazy episode. Awesome episode.
Yeah. Very intense. Although I have to say the outcome, I started to fear that outcome midway through. The moment that, and it should go without saying, there are spoilers ahead. It's like obvious. It's a recap show.
It's a recap.
It's a recap show. But some people, oddly enough, are always surprised. So just want to say you've gotten your warning.
I'm not apologizing to you people.
I'm
you
not
don't listen to a recap
warning.
of a show and then say, I'm mad that you recapped the show. What the fuck? Who are you and why are you mad? I don't even know who you are. I've never even heard of you being mad before. But stop it. Stop it right now.
Well, they took out Rhaenys. That's the big news. Rhaenys is done. I'm sick of that big dragon. I'm sick of Vhagar. I know Vhagar's just doing what Vhagar's been told, but this is now two people that Vhagar's taken out. That it's just like I'm done with it. And it's not fair either because Vhagar belonged to, truly was meant for Rhaena. And then Aemon stole Vhagar. So it's like this ill-begotten dragon killing all the best people. I'm done. I'm over it.
It's also big privilege, It's like the biggest one wins, and I'm really getting sick of that. Like, is there no Mr. Miyagi in the Dragon's world that's going to teach these people, like, some skill other than just being big? I don't like that. It should be more than that. You guys can fucking fly. You have these animals that can not only love you and understand your words, they can fly. You guys need to get out there and work. Like, what the fuck are you doing all day? You're just standing around dirty, spinning little balls and little things to talk to each other. I need to see you training. I need to see you like, okay, then we fly around in a circle because we're small, so we can fly around, and then come back up and scratch them and then fly back down. I don't like this just like everybody getting ramroded by large Marge over there, fucking Vhagar,
Yeah, Vhagar's driving
So
me
annoying.
nuts. Driving me nuts. I can't
Vhagar's a
stand
fucker.
Vhagar. This is
I hate
twice
Vhagar.
now. Twice now that Vhagar's done this.
Although he's pretty cute, I have to say, even, he's like those big giant dogs. You're like, ooh, those dogs are gross. Like, what are those Marmaduke dogs? Great Danes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You see a Great Dane. I'm like, fuck those dogs. Oh God. I just knocked my camera off and my lighting off because that's how I roll. But I always think, fuck that dog. Fuck those dogs. They're so huge. Their poop, it must be hellacious to clean up. But then they're still such cute dogs. And then they, they get sad and just give you that like sad dog face.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm upside down.
You're upside down.
By the way.
Yeah.
You guys, I've been a disaster and I'm going to remain a disaster. Anyway, he was so cute when he was like, you stay, Vhagar, not yet. And you're like, oh, rude. And he just like put his head back down on the ground like, okay, fine. I'll wait to murder people's favorite beloved characters.
By the way, this is the biggest dragon in all the land. Did no one see this dragon descending into this forest to like, it's like the dragon's like hiding on the forest floor, but like, sure, that's fine. But did anyone see the giant ass dragon going into the forest? I mean, how did people miss that?
You know, the trees, I mean, people are super tricky with their trees there, as we found out in this episode. And also, like, when she's flying away from him, she's like, oh my God, I finally got away from him. I'm like, why aren't you looking behind the only thing that he could hide behind?
Yes.
You're literally flying towards the only thing this man could hide behind. And it's the building, you know? Like, oh, there's literally the only structure in town. I'm going to fly by that. Surely he's not there. I mean, I don't see him anywhere else, and he's bigger than a fucking castle, but sure. And I hate stupid shaming people, especially when they just died. But it's like when you see someone, you know, on one of those like little scooter things in the middle of a crosswalk, and they're just like falling over, and you're like, well, like you knew that was going to happen, you know?
Yeah, it's more like look both ways. I also don't believe that big ass dragon would be like unseen behind that castle. I don't believe that she would have kept her eyes off that dragon. It didn't really make sense. Like, I really think that like that dragon is big and scary, and you're keeping your eyes on it at all times. And last we saw, the dragon was heading away from the castle. So then when it appears suddenly behind the castle, that means it had to go and like fly around. Like, how does she not notice? How does no one notice the big ass dragon like changing its place, you know, like literally getting up and flying around a giant meadow to get to hide behind a castle? I feel like there were a lot of failures.
Well, there's just so many edits, you know, because really dragon fights take a long time. They don't take 5 seconds like when we saw it, where they're like, oh, and now they're here again, you know, because you're right. They have to like go maneuver around and make a U-turn and then build up their speed and then kind of come at each other again. So I think they didn't want to make it a 30-minute fight of just watching, you know, those big ass things try to U-turn. Because that's basically what it would be, is watching big trucks try to U-turn. And nobody wants to see that.
Yeah. It's like a reality show. They just cut to the best parts.
Unless you're Love Island, which, goddamn it, we'll talk about later. Okay, so let's start. Let's get this going, shall we? Let's get this party started.
Yeah. So we're here in King's Landing, and Daemon opens the doors of the throne room. So we already know we're in a dream sequence, which, by the way, here, I just have to say this right now. Is this what our whole season with Daemon's going to be? Is this is this our path for him? That he's going to be the one? I
hate a dream season.
This is like when they sent Arya off to off to wherever it was where she was training, the House of the Faces or whatever it was, for a whole season. I'm like, oh God, is this? Because they even said after the episode was over, they even said, they seem to suggest that this is what he's going to be doing the rest of the season, is like unraveling. His sanity is going to be questioned. He's going to be having visions. I'm like, really? I mean, we're at the halfway mark where we've got 4 episodes left. Are we going to really spend all 4 of those episodes with him having weird thoughts inside a rainy castle with like an Irish witch in the kitchen making him strange drinks?
I'm not a huge fan of dream sequences. I don't like the dream storylines where it's like, oh, anything can happen because it's a dream. Like, is it a dream or is it real? I don't love that. I think it's lazy. And also, I don't like walking around things, which this isn't doing. It's just on par with that for me. Like The Walking Dead, where they're like, oh, surely we'll be safe if we go to Georgia. And then they spend an entire season walking to Georgia. And then they get to Georgia. They're like, nope, there's zombies here too. Let's walk to Disneyland. And so they walk for another season to Disneyland. And the whole thing is about people fucking walking. That's how I feel about dream sequences. I hate them. They make me fucking crazy. No dream sequences. Also, do you think he's being drugged out and tripping? Because they were very careful to show him taking deep sips of things this week.
You know, maybe he is. I agree with you. I don't mind a dream sequence, but I like a dream sequence to be like, you know, a once in a blue moon thing, and it needs to be short. Like I hated on Mad Men when there'd be like a whole episode that was a dream, or even on The Sopranos, there was one episode where Tony Soprano got food poisoning, and it was the whole episode was his dream. And I feel like sometimes when it comes to dream sequences, It's less about telling a story and more about writers and directors jerking off on camera. They're like, how can we like make this evocative and interesting and like this would be amazing? It's like, no, you're not really creating any insight for us. We don't understand Daemon any better. We don't think that like, oh, he's unraveling even more. Like you can make someone unravel very easily without like an extended and multiple dream sequences. But this seems to be like what we're gonna have to deal with.
But it's also very on the nose psychology because people on this show don't think about pop psychology because they didn't have books like The Four Agreements. You know what I mean? Like they do take things personally because they didn't have that book. No one was like, you know what changed my life? The Four Agreements. You can read it in 10 minutes. And so they're always very shocked by psychological surprises. Like in this one, he's dreaming of Ray, young Ray. And she's like, you created me. You're set on destroying me. All because your brother loved me more than he did you. And the look of shock on his face, like he never understood, he never considered that psychology before, you know, and it's very on the nose. And it's, you know, it's a treasure trove medieval times because they didn't really think about that stuff back then. He's like, holy shit, that might be real. I'm going to cut your head off. So then he does. He just cuts off little Ray's head. Now, while it was nice to see Teddy Mellencamp finally get what she deserves for being mean to Lisa Vanderpump that season, you can't kill baby Ray.
Yeah, this is, I think like the decapitation is like the thing that's haunting him. It's like last week was the vision of Jaehaerys, like Ray sewing Jaehaerys's head back on. Now Daemon slices off little baby Ray's head and everything. And then of course her head starts to talk, which by the way, this was an unintentional LOL. I don't think this was supposed to be a funny moment because it's like literally her head and it's bleeding out on the floor. But then the head starts to talk and says, this is what you always wanted, is it not? I'm like, this is like literally the end of Death Becomes Her.
Well, I really liked when the head just like kind of looked at him and was like, hi, I'm Teddy.
Hi, I'm Teddy. So then he wakes up but he wakes up, but he's got blood on his hands. So, I mean, who knows even what that's all about. But in fact,
because he just killed Ray in his sleep. That's why. So now he has literal blood on his hands. It's not literal. It's dream blood on his hands. Also, I found out why I don't respect Harrenhal. Like, there are like so many reasons because it's in disrepair. The guy's just always eating over there and being like, what are you even doing here? Who would want a Harrenhal? Blah, 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 blah. So like, they're not commanding a lot of respect, but also because it sounds like Hera's Casino, and that's such a dump. Like literally anywhere you go to it, Hera's Casino sucks. And I think they should have changed the name for this because it's too Trump coded to have it like Harrenhal's. Hera's Halls. It's just like a really overly priced, shitty breakfast buffet, and it smells like cigarettes and like loss.
Yeah, this is definitely like, you know, Harrenhal is like the rural casino of castles in Westeros. Like it's like that casino we went to when we were driving through Nebraska that one time, and we stopped off at this casino that was shaped like a box, and we went in, and it was so depressing, but it was so fun. And that's kind of what Harrenhal is to me, just like a depressing casino in the middle of a prairie that people go to, but no one seems to be happy that they wound up there.
Yeah.
So
but you do see what an economy oxygen machines are, don't you? Like that's like such a bustling economy that you don't really realize until you're in a casino like that. Like you're in some like tiny small town local casino and you're like, wow, so that's who's buying all the oxygen machines.
Yeah, that's the big market over there. So so Sir Simon is there and he's like, good morning, your grace, stepped well, I trust. And as I said, there's been a raven. Remember, I said raven. Remember when you woke up and I said raven. And then I had to shake you and pour some fake blood on your hand. Anyway, Aegon's army departed King's Landing a fortnight ago. And so he basically says how like castles are falling and Criston Cole's host of men has tripled in size, and now it's a big issue.
Yeah, Cole's just winning left and right. He's playing Monopoly by himself, and he is winning. No one's coming up against him, so he's winning. And they're like, oh, yeah, and people are saying, he's, you know, also Ray's a baby murderer, so that's not helping, you know, which you would think would make Daemon feel guilty, but it does not. He does not care. So then we pass a goat, and the goat's like, meh. Because, you know, goats. Like, and we don't know if it's real or not. It's like one of those, like, am I in a dream or is there a goat in your house?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I'm
The
from
ghost
Texas, so I
decapitated.
totally get it.
It's just a goat head talking.
It's like, hi, I'm Teddy. Hi, I'm Teddy.
So Sir Simon's like, well, even if you can raise a host of rivermen, they will not be ready in time to face him. You know what I'm saying? So how about this? Instead of getting rivermen, why don't we put on some Patti LuPone and just enjoy some martinis instead? I mean, death's coming for us all. Am I right?
So Damon's like, well, let's see what your Lord Paramount is made of. Huh? So now they're going to go talk to, this Harrenhal boss or whatever, and it's some kid. And his name is Oscar Tully, okay? And so it's like, hi, Your Grace, He's all nervous. And Damon's like, oh, God. All right. Here we go. And so Sir Simon's like, oh, this is Oscar Tully, grandson to Grove Tully. His heir to the river dance. Check it out. Do a step ball change for him. Do it.
Oscar's very nervous. He's 12, and he's just because Damon's very intimidating to people. So Oscar's nervous, and so Damon sits, and then like Oscar like awkwardly sits down and kind of like misses his chair. It's like really the worst way to make like a first impression in front of like the king consort.
He's also, they didn't have Botox back then, so I just got it, by the way, so I can't do it naturally. I'm gonna have to do it with my fingers, but Damon's always raising his eyebrows so that his forehead wrinkles like this. He's got like multiple horizontal wrinkles going up across his forehead. And that is what people do when they're trying to seem very, very smart. I've noticed that on The Bachelor, like the dumbest people do. I'm not saying Damon's dumb. I'm just saying like it's a move to intimidate. And it totally works on this guy. I think Botox has ruined a lot of intimidation. I'm glad they didn't have it back then.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good tool in his arsenal to really intimidate like the tweens of like the Riverlands, So
like, look at me thinking deeply. You better watch out. I'm thinking more than you. I have more lines up here. What are you doing? You better listen to me. I have more lines.
Yeah, because Oscar really, he's way out of his league right now, and so he's there because basically his grandfather or grandsire, as they say, is basically like Viserys, like in the last 3 days of his life, just like rotting away, but still somehow alive. And, like he's still like grandsire.
Literally like, yeah, it's like literally the leaders of our country where people are like, okay, so they're so old that they can't move anything. So have you considered a pillow? Put a pillow over his head and just end it so we can all move along. Okay. No one will say it in this country, but just come on, just do it.
Daemon literally says, like, okay, so can you kill your grandsire? We're in the Game of Thrones universe. Like, this is totally acceptable. I'm like literally fucking my niece. Okay, so can you like maybe do this? That way we can move this Riverlands thing, forward a little bit.
You don't even have to be in the Game of Thrones universe. People have been killing each other for the inheritance forever, especially like when you're bedbound. Like, that's it. It's time to go. Or like, not, I don't mean just bedbound, but I mean like complete, like in a vegetative state. Yeah, pillow me, We have a deal in my family to just pillow each other. So, okay, this is getting dark. We really do though. So don't send me to jail if it ever happens. But do send my mother to jail if I get killed. Okay, so, because that's who I have to deal with. Okay, why am I talking about this? Okay, so Damon's like, kill him. And he's like, I can't do that. Well, that's not our code. It's like, oh, your code. You have no code. Your house is broken down. Everything's shit. We're all about to be killed. End your code. Get power of attorney or something.
It's time for a commercial. It's time for a Crappens commercial.
And so Damon's like, okay, boring. All right, are you here to speak with your grandsire's voice for House Tully and the Riverlands? I hate to break it to you, but someday you're going to have someone named Sam in your family, and he's going to be a joke to many of us for a very long time. That'll be pretty cool at the end, but for the most part, he'll be really a joke. So just want you to know, I already in advance don't like you very much.
Yeah, and Oscar's like, what? Make a decision while Grandpapa still lives? What? That's not our way. We love books and monk's robes. And he's like, then you're no use to me. I can see the Blackwoods and the Brackens. Why, they did not fear to start war beneath the nose of their liege lords, loser. So he calls him a fish with no head, which It's pretty cold. That's like the C word back then, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's a fish with no head.
It's almost as bad as calling them a cut purse. So, yeah, he's basically like, okay, the Tullys are really useless. I guess, who is it? Like, there's the Brackens and the Blackwoods, which is the one that was in our favor, which I love that he's on the same page as us. Because last week we're like, who was for who? Bracken? Blackwood? One of them. He's like, yeah, whichever one liked us, you just bring them here. We'll try there. Okay, I need to start an army.
So he's like, Sir Simon's like, well, House Bracken declared green your ways. So he's like, oh, God, just some of the Blackwoods then, the opposites. All right, I require men of action to lead my hosts of Riverlands. So the kid's like, oh, my God, I sure saved myself from one there. You're dead soon.
Yeah, you're dead soon.
Yeah.
Or he will be totally corrupted and go from being virtuous and not speaking on behalf of his grandfather to being like a total asshole and like some sort of like craven sidekick to Daemon. So then we go over to Driftmark and Alan of Hull. He is doing his normal things, which is sort of like standing around a scaffold kind of place. And Rhaenys walks up to him and he's like, "Milady," and she's like, "Princess, if we're holding to formalities." He's like, "Apologies, princess." People in this realm are constantly fucking up. This is how many times have people messed up the Your Grace, Prince, Princess, my lord. Every single episode, someone's messing this up.
Yeah. Because it's rough. You know, that's what incest does.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
she's like, "So you are Alan?" He's like, "That's right, with a Y." She's like, "Alyn? Is that your spelling?" He's like, "Yes." Now, who named that's? Have you thought about just it being an Allan, perhaps, or just an Alan? I just feel like Alyn. I mean, that's just. It feels like you're trying to like make a statement. You know, just think about it, workshop it a little bit.
So she's like, well, I'm given to understand that my lord husband owes you his life, but I was not told you're so hot. God damn it, you're hot. So your mother must have been very beautiful. What a bitch. You're like, why is she so mad? You know? But then Corlys comes up and was like, oh, what are you doing? Talking to my son? Just kidding. Just kidding. Go over there. Play with something. Not my child. And so we find out that this is his love child.
Yeah.
Hooah.
So then they do this funny thing, which I feel like only happens in TV and movies, where like Rhaenys and Corlys are talking, and like Corlys is like, "No, we need more privacy." So they take one step to the right. It's like, okay, much more private over here. Okay, listen. What do you want to talk about? She goes, "Well, I just had a word with your captains, and he was the sailor who plucked you from your watery grave. That one, Alan with a Y." It's like, yes. What?
And she's like, and you didn't think to mention that was your whore child? Your whore child? You didn't think to mention? And he's like, no, sorry. She's like, and what were they out of Joe's when you were naming him? I mean, Alan, really, was basic. It's as basic as basic can get. Yeah. No Franks.
Listen, I know who he is, Corlys. Alan's past is no fault of his. He saved his lord's life, and he should be raised up and honored, not hidden beneath the tides, you idiot.
So he's like, oh, what are you here to subject me to an inquisition about the whore? And she's like, oh, God, I came to tell you, Bela has called me to Dragonstone. So she's like, basically, our kids are fucked. Ray's not there to boss anybody around. Nobody knows what to do. We're fucked. And he's like, where has that woman gone?
Yeah.
Because, you know, like we said, it seems like they get places really quickly, but her, you know, she had to stop by Party City too to get that men's habit. So
yeah,
it's taken her a long time to get there and back, you know. And last week, I wanted to point out, remember last week, and you're like, oh my God, they're being so loving towards each other. That means he's going to die soon. You were so close.
I was so close.
She died this week, not him.
I know. I thought he was going to die because he's been preparing to go out to sea. It's been like, by the way, 5 episodes of them like hammering at ships. So I was like, okay, now they're going to get in that ship, but like not yet. Like I didn't really see that coming. But I will say this, jumping ahead, as soon as she said that she was going to go into battle, I was like, this does not seem good. This seems like a bad idea. I'm not happy about this. But yeah, this scene was basically like okay, let's give Rhaenys and Corlys one last scene. This way she can acknowledge Alan. We can see that like they still have a nice relationship despite some issues. And now she's going to go back to Dragonstone. It was like one last final scene between the two of them.
I didn't love this. I'm still upset. And why couldn't it be Corlys? Like, Corlys is fine and everything, but I don't need Corlys. You know what I mean? I need Rhaenys. Corlys, I mean, like, he's great. Fine, bye. But I need Rhaenys.
Rhaenys is
a housewives show, not a house husband show.
Rhaenys is like by far the best character on the show. So the fact that she gets taken out this episode is really upsetting.
Yeah, I love that when she was like, well, I saved people in the only way I knew how, and it was the simplest, most non-violent way. I was like, you just killed like hundreds of poor people. Oh, that doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Yeah, no, poor people don't count on this show. So she's going to head back to...
She's the hero. She's my hero.
She is actually the one who deserves to be on the throne, by the way. She really is the one, right? Because she was passed over because she's a woman. So on top of everything else, like this whole war is happening. And on the inside, she's like, yeah, but like, it's me. It should have been me. And you guys are all fighting. And I'm the one who really deserves it.
Yeah. So now we go to Alicent's quarters back at King's Landing, and she's playing with the dragon sculpture. It looks like one of those little toys that the king would make when he made his fake town that her son just ruined with a baseball bat last week because he was having a tizzy. He was in a tizzy having a temper tantrum. So there's a knock at the door and she drops the dragon, and now that smashes on the floor. You know what? Can Viserys's crafts just fucking live a day? You know what I mean?
I know. I'm like, also, like, play with these toys, like, over a table or something like that. Like, it's just, I just hope they have a good return policy on that toy. I hope we can get a replacement.
Yeah. So now the doctor comes in and he's like, hey, brought you some abortion juice. And she's like, oh my God, thanks. She's like, don't tell anybody. So you don't know it's abortion juice. He's like, did I say abortion? Sorry, I meant Coke Zero. Brought you some Coke Zero. I'm working on it all day. It's really hard taking all the calories out of that Coke.
Quote unquote friend, even though we've never seen you socialize with anyone. But anyway, enjoy this. She's like, thank you so much. Thank you. By the way, Criston Cole, he's now 0 for 2 with royals who want to have his baby. Okay. Because last season, Ray took the same tea when Criston Cole, she had a moment with Criston. So, he is really like, no one wants to have his babies.
Well, it's like the drug companies who are probably just like, oh my God, am I just here to make Ozempic? Like, does anybody want anything else right now? Because like, I feel like I went to college just to make people thin. And that's not why I went to college. I went to college to help people, like with deadly diseases. And all it is now is Ozempic that everyone wants. And I feel like that's how the doctor feels, but like with abortion juice. It's just like, Jesus, no one needs cancer healed. No one, ever since Viserys, I've been working on that hole in your face medication. Nobody needs that now. Okay, I guess I'll just do some more abortion juice.
It's like, honestly, like, does anyone want clearer skin? I've got like a really good remedy. No, you just want the specialty. Got it. So she's like, by the way, whatever your name is, Orwyle. Anyway, tell me, do you believe Viserys wanted Aegon to succeed him? And he's like, this feels like a trap. I don't know if there's a good way to answer this. How about I just say, I could not know. His Grace never raised the matter with me, but if you look at my face, you would say, why would I ever think that the king would want that dipshit on the throne? Anyway, enjoy your tea. I mean, I hope your friend enjoys the tea, and I'll just be outside.
Just in case you didn't know what was in the bottle, she touches her stomach and stares at the drink like, oh my God, should I take abortion tea?
I know.
So then we go to the small council room over at Dragonstone, and it's Baela, Rhaenys, Jace, or Alpha. I don't know. They're all talking about the war or whatever. They're all gathered. So Baela's like, well, Criston Cole is slaying in his new Caesar cut. Literally. The man got a new haircut and he's basically taking everywhere over town by town. He owns every Chuck E. Cheese in the kingdom.
Yeah, they just love the look. It's just winning people over left and right. And so then they're like, but where is he heading? They're like, it's difficult to say because I scared him into the woods and now they only travel by woods. Sorry about that, by the way. I just couldn't resist. But, it's been fun and he's just off in the woods and we think he's going west.
And the old men are like, stupid girl, she doesn't even know directions. Hey, if you saw them, why don't you burn them, stupid? She's like, well, when you're good enough to have a dragon, maybe you can burn him yourself. You old fuck. How about that?
And then they're talking about how his army's getting so much bigger, and then Lord Massey's like, well, can Daemon hope to meet it with his own dragon in time, his own army in time? And if I know the Riverlands, he has more disentangling ahead of him than the end of a Lyseni orgy. Am I right? High five. Oh, that was good, right? That was a good joke. Good joke, right? Lyseni orgy. Because, Lyseni orgies are like very large, very complicated. It's hard to get out of them, Okay, have you guys even been to an orgy before? I mean, what's even the point of me making these jokes if you guys haven't even been to an orgy?
So they're like, where's your dad? She's like, I don't know. And they're like, well, we sent ravens. Okay, it was even in a dream. It was even in a Ray dream. So anybody have progress reports? I mean, come on. And they're like, no, nobody knows. So they're like kind of war talking. And they're like, well, it would be nice if we had a boss, which is so funny because you guys don't listen to your boss anyway. So I don't know. It's like you'd think all these men would be so happy that they finally don't have a woman that's bossing them around. And now they're like, well, where's the woman who's supposed to be bossing us around? Which just goes to prove you can never please anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Sir Alfred is like, this council is rudderless. And Rhaenys is like, well, I'm doing my best to steer it, Sir Alfred. So then Sir Alfred stands up. He goes, well, why should your voice be any louder than ours? Princess, the queen did not name you hand. It is her voice and that of the king consort that we need to raise a line. He's just getting all mad because no one's there. He's having a tantrum. But then Corlys walks in and then they settle down because, he's a man. So they're like, oh, wait, there's a man here. Okay, we'll be quiet now.
Yeah, he's like, we have a march. Everything's going to shit. Now we're going to claw for power. And Rhaenys is like, well, we do not know the queen's doings, but we must trust that she seeks the same as us at this table, which is decent cottons, really. How can they call things cotton when my butt has never stopped itching since I was born into this kingdom? There's things I just don't understand. Do we not have fabric softener? Let's discuss that until the queen comes back. Like, oh, God, here we go.
So then we cut to lots of dead bodies. We're over in the Crownlands. We're at House Darklyn, and Criston Cole has just massacred. His army has just massacred a whole bunch of people. And he is now yelling out to them, being like, men of House Darklyn, all who bend the knee to the true King Aegon will be spared. You can earn back your honor by raising his banner and fighting in his name against the whore of Dragonstone, who honestly I never sort of have a thing for, but, unresolved weird issues that I have. Anyway, all who refuse will have their death.
You got to love that Kristen's walking around calling people whores when back home his girlfriend just got some abortion juice delivered to his room, Yeah. Not that I'm slut-shaming anybody, but I'm saying he is slut-shaming people. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, last time I checked, he was banging two different, queens. And on top of that, he was banging away instead of doing his job. And a little child was murdered as a result of it. So who is the real whore here?
Yeah. So now Lord Darklyn's there, and he's like, oh, is there no honor left in this world? No. Have you looked around? I mean, Jesus Christ, it's the world. I don't think there was ever a time in the world that I can remember that I can remember. I haven't been alive that long. But like, even when you read about it in history, I don't think that anybody, like, there's no part in the Bible where everybody's like, you know what things are right now? Great. Things are just so honorable and great. Like in history, nothing's ever been great. It's always sucked. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure Lord Darklyn talking about honor and etc. Well, how much are you paying the people in your castle too? Let's talk about that. And then you want to come back and talk about honor. Okay, I'm sure the
Let's
peasants
talk about a living wage, Darklyn.
Yeah. I'm sure the peasants have a different view of honor, okay? So it's
although I wouldn't trust the peasants really either. I mean, it's so easy to be like, oh, this is like class warfare, but those peasants will rip you to shreds if you walk through the streets there. I mean, we've seen this show. Everyone's terrified of the peasants too. Like nobody is safe.
Peasants are pissed because they keep on having to give up their sheep for the dragons. They're annoyed. It comes up again this episode. Every single episode, they're like, by the way, the peasants saying they're still angry because they're giving up too many sheep to the dragons. So just wanted to remind everyone about that. So maybe there'll be
everyone's mad about gas, but then they're driving their fucking SUVs around. Okay, so you don't want the gas, don't drive the SUVs. I'd like to see you all on fucking bicycles. Okay, did you get to this protest on a bike? Then be quiet.
Yeah, how about you start growing some corn instead? Get in on the corn game. Okay, I know it's not invented yet, or maybe it doesn't even exist in this fantasy world, but think about it. Think about it.
So he's like, so you're sacking your own queen's castles and putting her people to the sword, Mr. Kingmaker. Oh, look at you, Kingmaker, spreading your own rumor around. I know you've got 20 Reddit accounts that you're walking around saying, oh, Criston Cole, Caesar cut, Kingmaker, Kingmaker. I know it's you.
Yeah. And then he's like, you're not fit for the white cloak, which, you know, that's a devastating thing because we saw that Criston Cole literally had a hissy fit 2 episodes ago about the white cloak. He was like, clean that up. So Kristen's like, whatever, you're going to get a better death than you deserve because honestly, I would torture you if I could. But instead, I'm just going to do a good old fashioned sword to the neck little bit there. And, you know,
a little beheading. And he does it well. He's a good beheader.
Very, very clean. Very, very nice. I was watching this with Dom, and he looked up at that moment because he doesn't watch this show, but he was just on his phone, and of course he looks up right at that moment as like it's like oh wow whack, and he was like oh, he was like okay great, glad I looked up to see that.
I loved it. Honestly, I watch a lot of violent shows and stuff, and I think that's like the classiest way to go. Is just a simple beheading. You just slump over, it's over. Your head's gone. Yeah. You're just like you're done. I mean, I like it. I think it's the best way to go, as we've seen on these shows. That's for sure.
Unless you're in a dream sequence, in which case you will still have conversations.
Yeah.
But
so he's like, we're gonna follow the coastline and go northeast. And Gwaine is like, well, I realize you were never born nor bred anywhere near the Cloudlands, my good lord hand. But Harrenhal is to the west, because Gwaine, as you guys might remember, is Alicent's shithead brother who's tagging along, just being like, why are you turning there? Why don't we go to a whorehouse? I want to go to a whorehouse. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we at a whorehouse? Can we stop at a whorehouse? I just want to go pee-pee in it.
Yeah, and so anyway, he's like, why aren't we supposed to be going to Harrenhal? It's like the rainiest spot in all the land. We got to go there. Kristen's like, I got another thing coming. We're going to go to the northeast instead, but we don't understand why. So now we go back.
Also, yeah, I'm sorry, but I just have a question. So Gwaine is like location shaming him. He's like, well, I get that you were not born nor bred anywhere near the Cloudlands. Poor person. Weren't you like a servant's son? I mean, Otto rose to power kind of late, but it's not like he was the fanciest person in the town, right?
Yeah, Otto's like, I mean, they're like middle class at best, right?
Yeah. He's getting all shamey there. Like he's fucking, you know, I was going to say the Queen of England. Maybe not that fancy, but at least, you know what I mean? I think you just said it. They're middle class at best. Like, get off your high horse. You only work in a shop, girl. You can drop the attitude, as they say on Absolutely Fabulous.
Where is Otto anyway? I know that he was, you know, kicked out. He lost his job, but like, where is he hanging out? Where does he live? What's he doing? What's he up to? Like,
I think it's like at a quarter video place, you know? He's like at a porn video shop or something, getting drunk.
A Lissani orgy, if you will. Come on, everyone. It's a funny joke if you really think about it.
Okay, so now we're back at small council room at King's Landing, and everyone's still talking about war. And Aegon's like, fuck you. I said we should have sent our dragons. Now look what's happened. Daemon is taking Harrenhal. I mean, no one listens to me. I have the big bowl. I'm going to spin it around right now. Look, big bowl spinning, big bowl spinning, big bowl spinning.
And Larys is like, well, that castle is more crippled than I am, your grace. That's right.
I love a good self-deprecating cripple joke.
I know. He's like, Larys is like, I'll fall on the sword for that one because, you know, I'll do anything for a joke. You know, it's like a dry. He's basically saying, look, it's going to make Daemon go mad. I mean, like, you should have seen the dream sequences my dad had before I killed him there. They were awful. Okay, so he's going to have the dream sequences. There's no money there, and I control the gold anyway. Whatever money it does have, he's going to just be sucked into it. He's going to lose all his resolve, and it's going, you know, it'll distract him for a long time.
He's like, I've probably poisoned all the water there. Let's face it. And the hooker queen remains trapped on her island, and Sir Caesar Cut is taking castles in the Crownlands. So don't worry, everything's great. And he's like, well, how am I supposed to know if nobody tells me? Okay, nobody tells me anything. I'm about to be made a fool of in front of my allies and my enemies. Meow.
And Aemon's sitting there, aka Laura Dern, and his face looking more Laura Dern-y than ever before. And he's like, Harrenhal must wait Sir Criston is marching on Rook's Rest. And Aegon's like, Rook's Rest? That's a pathetic prize. I didn't say go to Rook's Rest. Who wants to go to Rook's Rest? Rook's Rest is so 10 years ago. No one goes there anymore.
Isn't a rook like the lowest thing you can have in chess? I mean, who even named the town that? It's like poor people, unnecessary player piece landing. All right, who name it that?
And Aemon's like, well, the castle is small and weakly defended, and Lord Staunton, no relation to Imelda, great actress, by the way, sits at Rhaenyra's council, and after Cole smashes it, we'll have Dragonstone effectively cut off by land. This war will not be won with dragons alone, but with dragons flying behind armies of men.
So they're like, no, I want Harrenhal. Give me back. And he's like, Cole's preparing his attack already. He's like, well, how do you know? Have you guys been plotting behind my back? Yeah, dude. Last time you saw this guy, you were making fun of him when he was naked, neck, in the whorehouse.
Yeah.
After you barged in. Like, do you expect him to call you for lunch? Like, this guy has no clue about consequence. You can't make fun of someone's wiener. Hey, and by the way, internet, why is everybody making fun of Laura Dern's wiener? I thought it was perfectly fine.
Are they? I didn't realize that. What are they saying about it? They say it's small.
Like it's little and stuff. I don't think it's little. And also, I think he had very nice swag walking through with his wiener hanging out. Like he didn't look shy at all. He just had his head held high, and he's like, I'm Laura Dern, bitches, suck it.
Commercials. Here comes one right now.
See, this is why we never get male frontal nudity, because like the moment we finally get it, everyone makes fun of the guy. Okay, people, like, you need to like just like let say it privately, don't put it on the internet, so that way we get more of it. But if you say things like this, we're never going to get more full frontal.
Well, the people make fun of girl nudity all the time too. Everyone has something to say about that, and there's still boobies everywhere. So I think we're okay. But
okay.
Like respect the man's peeper. I liked it just fine. I just want to go on record and say that's a nice fine penis.
Yeah,
nice job.
Well, so anyway, so now Aemon and Aegon have an argument in High Valyrian, and Aemon,
some High Valyrian. I love some good bilingual burn. Like,
yeah,
because Aegon can't speak this for shit. Okay?
No. He doesn't know what to say. And Aemon's basically insulting him. He's like, well, you had more pressing matters to attend to, such as holding court and choosing your sobriquet and naming imbecilic lickspittles to your king's guard. Do you have a wiser strategy, my king? If so, you should voice it to your council. We all await your answer. That was sarcasm.
And then Aegon's like, how you say cucumber? Like, seriously? You're not going to speak High Valyrian at all? Hold on. Por favor, un momento. Necesito agua en mi taco escuela azul. He's like, oh, idiot.
I feel like he didn't even understand half of my diss. He's so bad at it.
I mean, I said lickspittles in High Valyrian, and he didn't even get it. I mean, what a waste.
I said sobriquet in the High Valyrian. Do you know how hard it is to find the word for that?
Sobriquet. I mean, that was an expansion pack on the Valyrian, all right, that I bought through Rosetta, and he didn't even get it. What a waste.
It was really hard.
Aegon's like, Tengo caliente en la agua azul leco consensual. And he's like, can I have to make war, cucumber? And he's like, oh, God. Harrenhal's a useless morass, you weak with little rugrat. There, I said rugrat in Valyrian. Packs more of a punch in this language, doesn't it?
Listen, it's going to keep Daemon occupied while we weaken Rhaenyra's support on the mainland, and we'll deal with it in time. But right now, Rook's Rest is an easy target. Don't you agree, my king? Hold on. Let me do air quotes in Valyrian. My king, air quotes, air quotes.
And then Aegon's looking around like, what the fuck did he just say? Does anybody know? And Aemon's like, bye. Lingual, and you're not, stupid. I'm going to do whatever I want. Bye.
Aegon's like, I think he just asked for an omelet. I'm not sure. My High Valyrian, honestly, I should have taken more classes. I really should have. So now we have
then,
Alicent.
we go to Alicent's quarters.
Yeah.
And she's like, come. And she's holding her stomach. I mean, Alicent, learn to fake it. You know what I mean? She's like, come, I've just taken abortion tea. Ow. Ow.
I'm sorry. If I'm her, I'm not letting anyone in until this is passed. But she's like sweaty. She still has her tea out. Like the top is off. It's clearly just been had. So she's not being very discreet.
You know, she's ordering it all the time. She's just constantly ordering abortion tea. Like that's why the doctor's exhausted. He's like, more abortion tea. Your abortion tea. I really should turn this into a pill, you know? But yeah, she's just like leaving it out now, you know? It's like leaving your lube out on the...
Roddy's checking his side table.
Kidding.
So Larys comes in, the worst person to have. First of all, use the peephole, ask, or maybe before someone comes in, say, who is it? I don't know. It's that way you have some time to put away the tea kettle thing or the jar. So he comes in, he's like, oh, I thought I'd look in on you, your grace, after your absence in the small council. I feared something was amiss. I'm also really horny. Could you take off your slippers, please? Take them off. Take them off. So she goes, well,
he's like, listen, I know that it's been rough, but this war... achieving victory will be a great feat. Feet? Show me your feet. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And so she's like, oh, well, you know, indulgence was I'm not feeling well. You know, I ventured into the lamprey pie at last night's supper. Too far, I feel, overindulged. You know, the thing is this, I've really grown to become quite lamprey intolerant, it turns out. Just the worst gas, so... Oh, God, I wish they had made some good enzymes for it. I've tried lamprey, but it just doesn't work as well.
I think it's big lamprey. It's the way that they're treating the lamprey crops.
It's the hormones that they're putting into lampreys these days. Just, you got to buy organic. You must.
Have you seen the size of a modern lamprey? I mean, they're just not meant to be that big, are they?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it is one of my favorite pies, but I just wanted to have one slice. I was like, Alicent, do not have a second slice of that pie. But you know me, it's been rough. It's been a rough time for me. I'm sort of eating my feelings.
Have you ever looked at a lamprey before?
Yes, they have quite the face.
Wow, I didn't know what they were. I thought it was pies. I thought she was like, oh, you know, I had too much pie. No, these are like fish that look like their nose is like a big circle, like a sucker that goes, I guess, along the ground, and then it has teeth coming. It's disgusting. It's literally disgusting. It's so hard to look at. Why are you guys eating those? Of course, I love a monkfish. Have you ever seen a monkfish?
Monkfish look crazy, but they're delicious.
Monkfish look crazy. Okay, for people who are on Crappens on Demand right now,
you put up a lamprey.
I'm going to put it. Look at this. Hi. This is disgusting.
It's Jill Zarin.
Still Zarin.
Her new facelift. The first, if you go onto Google and you type in lamprey, the first thing that comes up, it says, people also ask, are lampreys good or bad? The answer is, lampreys have value despite their bad reputation and strange looks, especially in the Great Lakes, where sea lamprey have found their way in through the man-made Welland Canal to naive hosts like lake trout. And frankly, they're just cool. Oh, well, that was a bit of editorial commentary, courtesy of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Out of it? Yeah, let's keep your opinion out of it, U.S. F&W.
Do lampreys drink blood? They're billed as vampire fish because they suck blood from their prey. But
guys, you know what? You can try and make lamprey sound sexy. They're not. They're horrifying. Because when I Googled it, it said, are lamprey an invasive species? Which, by the way, I mean, you got to love a human asking that. About really anything. Like, have you looked around? Have you looked at a small town yet?
We
are the invasive species.
I know, right? But I have to say something. If you see a lamprey where it's not looking at its mouth, because by the way, lampreys get a bad rap because everyone takes photos of like their worst feature, right? Like, would anyone want someone to be like, oh, here's my headshot. It's a close up of my anus. Like, that's not, no one's going to want to see that. But if you actually look at a lamprey from the top down, they are adorable. They are so adorable. No, they are crazy adorable. Look, just do a Google search for lamprey. They just need some dental work.
Oh, well, who doesn't? Who among us couldn't use a little dental work? Yeah, they're cuter. Oh, yeah, they are cute. It has like big cartoonish eyes.
Yeah, big eyes and a big snout. They're like actually really adorable from the top. They look like they're just kissing. They just have a terrible mouth, you know?
Yeah, that's how I look cutest too from the top. Okay, so she's like, "Oh, lamprey, too much of those," and Larys is like,
That is a rich indulgence, but I believe it's a sin to deny your appetites. I did just get a boner. Are you going to show me a toe? Show me a toe. Appetites make us fully alive and mortal men.
and she's like, "Okay, thanks for coming by. Listen, I'm still a bit discolored from the last time you splooged on my foot, so can we just skip that part today?" And he's like, she's like, "What was discussed at council today?" He's like, "Well, your son is a baby babe and screaming and crying all over the place. And Daemon sees Harrenhal, and his grace is not very happy about it. Very, very unhappy. No one at least brought him a nickel machine home. Very, very upset."
And Alicent's like, "Well, I thought you'd be really upset about Daemon taking over Harrenhal, by the way." And he's like, whatever. I don't like that place. Dragonstone's attentions are greatly divided, and first in the Riverlands and the Gullet, and now in the Crownlands, and Sir Criston wins every challenge. He's basically giving all the tea about what's going on and everything. And, Larys is basically like, your word.
He's like, "You're with the quarterback, and the quarterback's winning. You like that the quarterback's winning? You just drank his abortion tea. Are you sad that you're not going to be having winning quarterback baby anytime soon? Come on. Are you?" She's like, "Oh my God, why is everything you say fucking with me?" Well, she is. Like, the guy can't just make a sentence. He's always like,
yeah, just say something straight.
Like?
Yeah, straight. Be straightforward. He's like, "If I may be so bold, my queen, you have not seemed yourself of late." She's like, "Well, listen, fuckwit. Only weeks ago, my lord husband was alive. He had a hole in his cheek, but he was alive, and the realm was at peace. And now I've barely had hours to grieve one tragedy, him, before suffering the next. My grandson. It's hard to tell who's the son and who's grandson at this point. So I'm sorry if I've been eating a few more lamprey pies than normal, okay?"
Yeah. And he's like,
"Well, I did not know you shared your lord husband's love for the histories, madame."
and she's like, "Well, I don't know if I love it, but I do have an abiding interest. I just broke another toy. Do you have any glue? Are you good with gluing dragons?" Yes or no? "But listen, the voices of history guided Viserys, and his wisdom alone could only reach so far." And he's like,
"Well, do you think that's why he changed his mind in the end? No matter how suited he thought Rhaenyra for the crown, the voices of history, as you called him, would they have would they have told him how the realm would react to her succession? I mean, tell me, what do you think? Did your son deserve it? Does Ray deserve it? Does no one deserve it? Does no one know how to kill their parents to earn a seat in this town?"
And she's basically like, "Look, Rhaenyra's supporters will believe what they wish, and so will Aegon's, and the war will be fought, many will die, and the victor will eventually ascend the throne. The significance of Viserys' intentions died with him. So what I'm trying to say is, why do we care so much? Why can't we just have some lamprey pie and some good ale and just enjoy ourselves for once? We've got a nice castle. Why don't we have fun here?"
Yeah, she's like, "Who cares what dead people think? Am I right?" He's like, "Yes, amen, sister." So then we go to Harrenhal, and Daemon's lying in bed, and hears footsteps, and sees boots, and hears a sword, and he's like, "Is that Ray?"
Yeah, here to welcome everyone to yet another dream sequence. So he gets out of his bed with the sword. He does the whole thing all over again they did last week. He goes stalking around with the sword up, and he sees Aim. He sees like it's like blonde hair. Is it Ray? Is it Aim? It looks like it's Aemond. He follows Aemond into the room. He puts his sword down. It's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? He winds up in the kitchen, and there's Alice. Alice is there, Alice Rivers. And we saw her last week. She was, last time he had a dream last week, she came up to him and was like, "You're going to die here." It's like, "Oh, thanks, Alice." So now she's like, "It's a touch late to be talking about the strange castle, putting people to the sword, don't you think? I'm just trying to make a little potion here, and you come in with your sword. It's not appropriate."
I like that we've got such another simple name just spelled funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like, George R.R. is just like, just name her Alice. That's my favorite maid from the Brady Bunch. Just call the maid Alice. Just use a Y.
Yeah.
It'll be great. No one will notice.
So she's like, "I'm called Alice." He goes, "Strong Rivers."
He's like, "Oh, it's your
Strong
bastard." because that's what bastards are called. They're named after wherever they're from, kind of. Because this is like Riverstone or Riverlands.
Oh,
so
got it.
Yeah, so she's Alice Rivers. Like I would be Ronnie El Paso.
She's like
Ronnie Paso.
Can we
I
talk?
like that actually. I'm Ronnie Paso.
She's like, can we talk? Can we talk? I want to talk about your fashion. What is this? Who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? It's like, wow, you really are Rivers, aren't you? I'll never forgive Johnny Carson for what he'll do to my
Alice Rivers just making tasteless jokes about everybody who passes by.
I deserve a late night talk show. That's what I got to say.
So she's like, well, you've never settled in, huh? I've come to know the face of tortured rest well enough. That's you. Sleep can be thin in this place. Unlike you. See, you found the muffin cart, am I right? That was for you, Joan. That was for you.
He's like, what would you know of my sleep? She's like, well, Harrenhal's been cursed since its first stone was laid. Black Harren felled the grove of weirwood trees that grew on these lands. It's like, what are you saying right now? Harch trees imbued with the spirits of those who lived long before them, So it said whispers can still be heard sometimes, especially when you're sleeping and I go up to you and I say, Daemon, you're really fucked up. Oh, that's just like my favorite thing to do.
So she's a witch, huh? He's like, do not try me with your insolence, witch. She's like, well... Oh, I guess it's hard to be obedient to one who replaced you as heir, am I right? And a woman, too. A girl child that you bounced on your knee before you bounced on your wiener. Am I right? That's for you, John. That's for you.
As we stand here with a castle and a dragon attempting to draw an army of men, that's you, dum-dum. Anyway, drink this. You'll need your sleep if you're to win this place by your side. So he just drinks it without even... Like this strange-ass lady who's been very ominous and is coming at him. He's like, well, she sort of gives me the heebie-jeebies, but she did give me something to drink, so I'm going to drink it.
Yeah. And so he does. And it's like made out of guts and stuff. Because, of course, that's like a juicer back then. She's like, well, just crushing some brains and some, bloody guts for you.
It's the original raw diet. Yeah.
It's the original wheatgrass.
It's before the Miami diet, there was the Harrenhal diet. Are you on keto? There's no carbs in this, don't worry.
Oh, he's like, you're a strange kind of a woman. And she's like, I'm no woman at all. I'm a barn owl, cursed to live in human form. So, let me guess. You came here because you got in a fight with your wife. Is that right? He's like, what? Why would you say that? Because your shirt's on inside out and men can't dress themselves. That's for you, John.
So he drinks this thing. And then all of a sudden he wakes up at the council. He's sitting with he was at a table, really. He's with Sir Simon Strong and Sir William Blackwood, and it's like no time has passed, and they're talking and everything, and they're yapping about the Brackens, etc. And Daemon turns to the Blackwood guy and is like, who are you? And Sir Simon's like, oh, this is Sir William Blackwood of House Blackwood, your grace. As I said,
And he's like, well, what do you want? He's like, it was you who summoned me, your grace. I was given to understand that you want an army. Well, some 20 years ago, my lord bent the knee to King Viserys and acknowledged the Princess Rhaenys as her rightful heir. So, it would be great if you avenged the Brackens if you want my army. That would be great. Do whatever you can, avenge us, and then you get my army. Excuse me, I don't think you're really in the place to be making demands, sir. Your army was just decimated, okay? So give us what you got left, or you're all going to die, all right?
Yeah, exactly. You should be so...
Still got this lamprey on my screen. I need to get it off.
Just look at it from up. Look at the lamprey from the top down, and it's much more pleasant to look at. Bottom up, not good. Not a good look for the lamprey. It just needs to see the doctor, that's all, or a dentist. So anyway, yeah. So basically, they're like, okay, well, come join the cause, and it's gonna be great. So now we go back over to King's Landing, and we're in the small council room, and they're at the table, and Aegon's like spinning that ball, and he's so bored. The ball's just going around and around and around, and finally, and they're just like yapping back and forth, like having just kind of council talk like, oh, well, the lords and the crownlands are grousing. The herds of livestock struggle to keep pace with the dragon's relentless appetite. Vhagar's in particular. Oh, yes, but the crown needs more than what it's holding. Taxes. Also the war. Where do we march? Where should we march to? What about robes? Should we get new robes? I would like new robes.
I see the request for a fresh green, tender greens to be put in. I just think it's too expensive for that part of town, really. All right, do we not have soup plantations anymore?
I mean, we just had a sweet green, so if there's a sweet green, do we really need a tender greens? It's just like, I just feel like they're going to cannibalize each other.
So they're like, wow, look at Sir Caesar Cut. Oh, he's killing it, isn't he? Doing great. He's turning every castle, every armor he's faced, including Duskendale. I mean, who wants Duskendale? It's got Dusk in the title. Nobody wants it. People, when I grew up, people used to call it old Duskydale. Isn't that funny? The witch of that Rivers Castle used to do that. God, that woman was funny. Always made fun of my clothes, so.
They're calling Criston Cole the Kingmaker, and Aemond and Vhagar are with him. They're just doing such great work. It's almost like the three of them are the most important people here in this entire country, perhaps. It's almost like it doesn't even matter that he's the Kingmaker, because he's sort of like the king unto himself. Am I right? This isn't making anyone feel weird in the room, is it? No one?
So Aegon slaps down his little ball. He's like, you bore me. You bore me. I was like, oh my God, is this season 1 of Real Housewives of Dubai? Jesus, I haven't seen a reaction that strong in a long time.
I know. That was for you, Joan. So Orwell.
That was for you, John. That was for you.
That was for you, John. So Orwell is like, well, perhaps Criston will be able to procure more livestock through his campaign, for those peasants, etc. And they're like, yeah, basically everyone's like, this is awkward. The king is really on one today, And then we go over to Aegon's quarters, and
I thought it was funny because the king storms out. It's like, you're so boring. I hate all of you. You all suck. And he leaves, and they're like, so tender greens. How are they so tender? Do you think that they actually steam them, or do they just let them ferment a little bit longer than other vegetables?
Do we think that King's Landing is ready for a Chipotle? I know it'll really open up people's palates, but they may not be open to it. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think it could really be a hit.
It's basically a healthy McDonald's. Who's going to argue against Chipotle? Am I right?
I've been really trying hard to get a sushi restaurant open, but people are very much not into raw fish. They don't understand it can actually be quite delicious.
We actually had to stop the sushi place because Queen Alicent couldn't stop with the lamprey murders. It was really disgusting.
We had to tell her there's no such thing as a lamprey roll. And she was like, well, then why does this restaurant even exist? And we said, but there's other beautiful things. You can still get eel. And she said, but it's not lamprey. And it was drama, a lot of drama.
So now we go to Aegon's quarters, and Alicent comes in, and she's like, well, she's already in there. He's like, what the hell are you doing in my room? She's like, well, first of all, I'm missing a lot of lotion. Are you jerking off out the windows? She's like, no. She's like, all right, where are your father's books then? He's got a lot of Danielle Steele's. I'm extremely bored.
Well, Mother, I ordered them removed. Oh, and with no thoughts of the centuries of knowledge in those pages and very sexy chapters? He's like, I said I removed them. I didn't burn them. Chill out, Mother.
So she's like, what's wrong? Why are you moping around? He's like, nobody listens to me. Everyone's doing things, not even listening to me. It's like they don't even want me to want to know what I think about anything. And she goes, what thoughts would you have? It's like, damn. So she gave away all those fucks that she had to give because she does not care. She's just like, why would anyone ask you? You fucking moron.
Yeah. She's like, I fucked up this situation so badly, and now I've got to stare at the consequences of my misinterpretation. So she was like, do you simply think wearing the crown imbues you with wisdom? Those men at your council table earned their seats. It was my hope that once enthroned you would honor the burden of your new duties, be silent and strive to learn from the more studied minds around you, in the hope that you might be half the king that your father was, which is actually more like quarter of a person because he had half of his body. But you get what I'm saying.
I was like, tread lightly, tread lightly. She's like, or what? For fuck's sake, what are you going to hang me like the rat catchers? Or have me banished as you did your hand? I ruled in your father's absence throughout his long illness, and Otto Hightower was as cunning a statesman as ever lived, and I've also been on Bates Motel. Right? I've had a long life. So you should be humbly seeking our opinions and counsel. You have no idea the sacrifices that were made to put you on the throne. You. Oh, stop acting like you did him such a huge favor. You did this for yourself, okay? And for your dad. Let's stop acting like you're like the fucking giver of all givers over here, you selfish asshole.
He's like, well, what would you have me do, mother? She goes, do what is needed of you. Nothing. And he's like, that hurt.
He's like,
a bit different.
Also, here's the thing that always bugs me about Alicent. She's just like, she's not a great mother. I get it. I mean, she's also a victim of like sexual assault. I mean, she ended up getting with that old man when she was like 13 or something crazy. You know, she's got a lot of victimhood stuff, but she's also like not the best mom and stuff, but also the worst. We've seen a lot of bad mothering on Game of Thrones. Okay. It's kind of known for that, but they're always like, I like a Cersei bad mother who's also super manipulative, and she just can't do it. Alicent can't do it. I mean, anybody should know that you don't tell this kid, you know what you need to do? What is expected of you? Nothing. Because what does he do? He's like, I'm getting my dragon. Bye. I'm going to go burn everything and ruin this entire war. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. So now we go over to Criston's camp, and they're like cutting down trees and stuff because they're ready to go to Rook's Rest and everything. And he's like, on your feet, everyone, to Rook's Rest, to battle. And Sir Gawain's like, but excuse me, but it's broad daylight, and we must hold here because, you know, we're sort of like a nighttime crew, if you know what I'm saying. And he's like, no, we're going to move now and strike by day. They will not expect it.
And he's like, well, they won't expect it because it's a stupid idea. All right. I mean, did you forget the little encounter we had on the road to Rossby? All right. With the dragon trying to kill us. All right. That was in the daytime when they can see us, and dragons can't see us at night because they don't have fire coming out of their mouths, and fire doesn't light. Never mind. All right, I forgot what I was talking about. Actually.
And he's like, yeah, I mean, it's just like the dragons just across the bay. I mean, have you grown tired of living? And Criston's like, are you afraid, sir? Are you afraid? He's like, worse, I'm rational. And I'm also a bit horny, and I was planning to go to the whorehouse, so...
And also, yeah, everybody's afraid of dragons. Like, what are you, afraid of a little nuclear bomb? Yeah, I am. So then we go back to Dragonstone, and Ray returns, and they're like, oh, well. And Jace is there being all adorable. He's like, I am so mad, mother. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, we need to send a dragon. She goes, where? He's like, to support the war that your vassals have been fighting in your absence. You didn't even tell me where you were going. I mean, I tried looking for you on Find My Friends. Apparently, we're not friends anymore, mother.
Well, and Rhaenys is like, well, Corlys has grown since riding abroad, and here is the levies of both Rosby and Stokewith, and their combined strength has sucked Duskendale. And then Lord Duskendale's like, Duskendale? Was someone going to tell me before this moment? Why did you wait until right now to tell me that my place, I am literally Duskendale. Why did you not tell me that my place was sacked?
And Corlys is like, oh, right, Duskendale, hi. Yeah, your city's fallen, and your man declared for Aegon, and those who didn't were killed. He's like, what about my father? I'm sorry, who's that? Lord of Duskendale? Oh, right, Duskendale. Can we write that down? Can we get some name tags in here?
I you know what it is? I look at you and I'm like, you are such like an old town person, and I just don't think Duskendale, but you are Duskendale. That's what's so funny about it. But yeah. Oh yeah. So your dad, he kept his oath, but they took his head for it. Anyway, does anyone want to order in lunch before we continue on with this meeting? Anyone?
Hey, before we order lunch, when you hear Duskendale, does anybody else hear Duxendale? We think Duxendale. Dale is a chipmunk, and he's with Chip. The ducks are different. That's the Donald.
It's like a crossover. Am I right? It's like the crossover we always wanted. Am I right?
Ducks and Dale.
Lord Duskendale, are you crying over there? It's like, when my father just lost his head. Oh God, I keep forgetting that's your father. Oh my God, this is awkward. So you're probably not going to want lunch, huh?
So Jace is like, anyway, where have you been, mother? Where have you been? You've vanished without so much as a word. And she's like, well, I apologize for my absence and the secrecy, but I had to go to Party City, which is completely out of the way. And then I went to King's Landing. And he's like, to what possible end? How could you? She's like, I tried to sue for peace. And that doesn't mean lawsuit yet. It just means begging at this point. All right.
He's like, you saw Alicent? And she's like, I did. And she's like, but you could have been taken or slain. Well, I'm standing in front of you, bitch. So what's the problem?
She's like, I'll tell you what I slain. My outfit. I looked absolutely amazing in a nun's habit. Incredible.
I inherited 80 years of peace from my father and also a fear of gaping cheeks. And before I was to end it, I needed to know that there was no other path. And now I do know. Only one choice remains to me. Either I win my claim or I die.
He's like, good to hear it, mother. We stand at the ready. And she's like, all right, well, Cole's victories. Oh, no, Rhaenys is like, God, these fucking names. Rhaenys is like, well, Cole's victories have only emboldened him. He marches on Rook's Rest next. And Rhaenyra's like, why Rook's Rest? What a dump. I mean, what the fuck? It's a tiny little town. They have a gas station, a Holiday Inn, and a quarter machine store. Oh. Is that where is that where the auto is? They're like, no. He's doing it because Lord Staunton, Mother Imelda, great actress, by the way, is a member of this council, and because his castle is small and vulnerable and there for the taking, and Cole knows we have no army on the mainland.
Well, you would think that after they took a dump like Duskendale, they just would stop. They'd be so demoralized. Oh, God, I keep forgetting you're still here, Lord Duskendale. So I'm sorry. I won't mention it anymore.
And this is what kills me. They're like a tiny little place along the coast where they know that we're unguarded. It's almost like a trap. Why would he be going there? I mean, surely he's not going to trap us. That is crazy. Why would he trap us? Let's go. It's another trap, right?
Yeah, no problem. So Sir Alfred's like, he is daring us to act. It's like, yeah, so don't call his bluff, So, and then Jason's like, we need to send a dragon. And Rhaenyra's like, well, there are those who have mistaken my caution for weakness. Let that be their undoing. I will go. And they're like, what? You are the queen. You can't. So then Rhaenyra's like, no, I will not lose dragons to war whilst I hide and near my castle, even though I did just hide from you guys while I was at someone else's castle. But you get what I'm trying to say.
And then Jace is like, no, I'll go. I'm like, you guys are like the people pretending to fight over the back seat. Like, I'll sit in the back. No, I'll sit in the back. No, I'll sit in the back, but they all know they're going to sit in the damn front seat. I feel like this is that kind of argument. So they're like, no, I'll go. And everyone's like, neither one of you are going. And Rhaenys is like, well, I guess I'll go. I could die today. They're like, oh, that would be fun. Bye. Bye. See you later. Have you had a chance to have a romantic discussion about your husband's son with a whore? Just go. It's going to be great. Everything's going to be fine.
So at this point, I personally did not realize it was a trap. But what I did know is that when we cut to Aegon drinking wine in his quarters alone, I was like, fuck, he's ruminating. He's feeling powerless. He's going to bring a dragon to that battle and it's going to be a disaster. And so then I was like, fuck, people are going to die. Like Rhaenys, like at the very least, that Rhaenys' dragon's going to die. It's going to be a disaster.
I did not think any of this, but I was, since I watched it this morning and didn't finish it last night, I was scrolling through Facebook and someone spoiled it. So fucking lame. Can we have a day or two like without you literally posting her picture and going, I can't believe they did this. Why would you post that?
Oh, I would mute them. When people do that, I mute them forever.
It's so annoying. It's literally the morning after. Give me 24 hours, you know what I mean? Or say there was something so shocking last night I can't believe it, and don't put her picture.
Yeah, I some of my best friends are muted because of their willingness to spoil things like Survivor, this show, White Lotus, things like that. I had White Lotus spoiled for me, and I remember I complained about this. It was like 6:45 on the West Coast. And I was driving to go watch it at 7:00. I was being judicious and someone on the East Coast spoiled it because they just had to put up a meme. I understand that. It's fun to put up memes, but I was so mad. I was so mad.
Yeah, annoying. So Rhaenys is like, I'll go. Meleys is your largest dragon and no stranger to battle. I will meet Cole. I was like, okay, so is that your only plan? You're not the only side with dragons. By the way, I wasn't thinking any of this while I watched it. It wasn't until the aftermath that I was like, what was the plan? You were just going to fly in and burn everybody and that's your whole plan? They have dragons too.
Yeah. So then we see Aegon and he's sitting there alone and there's like a picture. You know what? Honestly, I would say a nice picture that someone probably found on Etsy and was like, I think the king would like this. And so they put it on the table. and he just pushes it off the edge and it just shatters. It was a big day for things falling off tables and shattering. And then he walks out of the room.
And he's the kind of person that he can't just get mad. He has to be mad in a way that other people have to clean it up, literally. Like he's always breaking things or throwing things, or it's like he's only happy being mad if he makes a maid work. He's just really fucking rude. He's bad to servers. Okay, if anyone feels bad for Aegon and like, oh my god, he just has daddy issues. His mom doesn't support him. Fuck him. He's mean to waiters.
Mm-hmm. So then we're back over at Dragonstone. Jace goes into his mom's bedroom and he's like, but mother, I only want to fight for you, for your claim and mine. And she's like, listen, I know we're all about incest and things in this family, but I'm not going to fuck you, my son. Then I have to tell you something else, okay? There's something I have to tell you, Jace. Something I should have told you when you became heir to the throne. And as she's saying this, we're starting to see like the battle starting to take shape and everything. And she goes, it has passed from king to heir. It's a secret that Viserys told me when he named me his successor, and has passed from king to heir since Aegon the Conqueror's time. And I never told you because I was unsure that I believed in myself. But the Targaryens, it's like, come on, just tell him. Tell him the secret. Like, stop taking so long, because on this show, anything can happen. A dragon come bursting through the wall. Just get it out there. Get it on paper.
Yeah, it's a very important monologue. She's like, "This is the song of ice and fire." Dun, 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 dun. He's like, "Really? What's that?" She's like, "A fabulous story on HBO this fall." So she tells him that whole thing, and Aegon, they're here to protect the realm against a common enemy, and he's like, "Tender greens?" She's like, "No." Everyone keep bringing up tender greens. He's like, "Well, I'm just saying I'd really prefer a soup plantation, more affordable to the people." She's like, "Focus! All right. We're going to be killing zombies soon. All right." By the way, I don't even think it's really the same Aegon that we're talking about in the first place. I think it's probably Jon Snow who's way older and doesn't become king anyway. I mean, this whole thing is a clusterfuck, really, but it was a good dream. It was fun, wasn't it? Did you like the story?
Anyway, yeah, so just know that someone's going to be a protector and unite the realm, and so that's the secret. And he's like, so the secret is that someone's going to protect us. Yes.
Well, I mean, it was much more dramatic in the way that I was trying to tell it before some terrible recapper just came in and stole my monologue and shat all over it. But basically, there's a story. Hot blonde person takes over, needs to unite everybody to fight really ugly zombies. We all do it. Even hotter person who's brunette now. A brunette in our family. Disgusting. I know. Still. It's a Song of Ice and Fire. Dun, 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 dun.
All right, Mother.
Why do you do that every time you say Song of Ice and Fire? Dun, 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 dun,
Mother, it feels like a very serious story. I don't know why you're dancing with your shoulders so much.
I just love it. It's a song. Song of Ice and Fire. Dun, 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 dun.
Why is it called a Song of Ice and Fire, Mother? If we're just talking about protectors. Well, ice is cold and fire is hot, and you shouldn't touch either of them. So there, you've been protected. Ha! It worked.
Oh, what are they going to call it? The song of not crossing the street before you look both ways. All right, this is the best advice we could put into a sexy title: Song of Ice and Fire.
Listen, it was a temp title. Okay, we reached out to Joni Mitchell's people, like, could you rename this song for us? Give us some good lyrics. She never got back to us, and it's just sort of stuck after all these years. So that's what it is, the Song of Ice and Fire.
So then we go to Criston, and they're in the middle of an open field, where they're not supposed to be. That said, what are you going to fight a whole war from behind a bush? There's a lot of men. So eventually they have to go out into the field,
Yeah.
And so, they're shooting arrows and stuff, and Rhaenys is approaching on her dragon, and we know because we hear the butterscotch being sucked from like a mile away. It's like,
And there's lots of fighting. And then the dragon comes, and they're like, oh, fuck. And Gwen's like, to the seven hells with you, Cole, you may as well have sounded horns to announce our coming. And Kristin's like, no, this is perfect. Order the Darkling levies to break off and move ahead. We must keep the dragon's attention divided. Make the signal. And Gwen's like,
signal? What signal? What? Gwen, pay attention. All you do is stand there and complain. Fucking
I know.
Complainy Gwenny.
I think Gawain is literally there just that way Criston Cole has someone to explain what he's doing for the audience, right? So
I think so. And also, the only way to kind of make someone root for someone terrible is to give them someone more terrible to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, Wade is terrible. So we're like, oh, look at us kind of rooting for Criston for a minute.
So now everyone starts doing the 101 Dalmatians thing where it's like a horn, and then like another horn far away. It's like, and it goes, relays. The horns relay down the forest, and we wind up. We see we're like in a patch in the woods, deep woods, and Aemond is sitting on Vhagar, and Vhagar's camouflaged. It's actually kind of like cute. He has like a little netting on him and some leaves. They've like attached some stuff to him so that way like he still looks like a dragon, but now he's like a leafy dragon. Like a nice mound of leaves on the forest floor.
Right, so he starts to get up because the signal, the horn, and so he starts getting up. But then Aemond sees Dragonfly over, and he's like, "Oh Jesus, what the hell, this little idiot!" And we see that it's Aegon flying Sunfire towards the battle. Really, you brought Sunfire, the hippie, the tiny little hippie? No. What are you doing, sir? Don't you have anything to break? So then we cut to Rhaenys flying through the field again, and now she's just burning men, And so then Criston sees Aegon coming with fucking hippie dragon, and Gawain's like, whose dragon is that? What's he doing here? Why is there another dragon here? I didn't approve of this. We should be in a whole house right now. He's like, oh God, it's the king. So Sir Gawain is like, oh, so that's your secret plot, huh? Having the king risk his life? Real smart one. Duh. Hey, is anyone free to come over here and just make a circle around Caesar Cut and go duh over and over? Duh, duh. You know what? Let's add in a dur because that's even more offensive. Dur.
Yeah, and so now Criston is really upset because his plan's messed up. But also, I imagine that if something happens to the king, it's going to be on Criston. Like that. Oh, like that. It's like Criston's fault that he led this battle that the king jumped in on or whatever. So now there's just all this chaos, and now Rhaenys and Aegon are in the sky, and their dragons are attacking each other, and the fire is going. But Aegon, like, Sunfire is adorable, but like really not up for the challenge of going up against Meleys.
Yeah, and it sucks having this like little. You're the king, and you have like this little cute hippie dragon. So it's not really
Sunfire.
working. And Meleys, kicks its ass, basically. It grabs it by the neck, thrashes it around, scratches it. And then it's really cool watching these dragons fight, by the way. I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Because at first I was like, oh my God, the dragon moves, like watching them fly through the sky. It does look a little... when you watch like an old movie now, how the special effects look so old for the time. It's like so obviously the dragon flying kind of looks like that, right? When they're on the dragons, it looks kind of fake to me. I mean, it is fake. I know it's fake, but it looks, I don't know. I'm not buying it all the way, but man, these dragon fights were fantastic.
Yeah, and basically Meleys like takes its claws and just like disembowels Sunfire, and so all of Sunfire's guts start like tumbling out, and the dragon's like flying over the men, and it's like dragon guts are falling on men, and Aegon's like dangling.
That was badass when all the guts fell on the guys.
It was gross. And then basically it's like it's chaos, and essentially at a certain point the dragon Sunfire falls from the sky with Aegon on it, and they like fall into the woods, and it's a disaster.
Well, also because Aemond comes, right?
Oh, so yeah, that's right. Sorry, I skipped.
Aemond comes. He's like, okay, I guess it's time to go jump in and help. So he sees the fight, and he sees that his brother is getting his ass kicked. But he's like, oh, I'm gonna get this fucker back for making fun of me at the whorehouse. So he's like, Dracarys. So his dragon Vhagar fires at both of them, both Rhaenys and Aegon, right together. So he gets them, and then Sunfire just falls from the sky. He's like, suck it. Yuch.
Suck it. And Criston's like, my prince, and he runs towards Aegon, which, by the way, it's your king. Like, how many times in an episode do they have to say it wrong? It's my king. So he runs towards Aegon.
He still feels like Alicent should be the queen, I guess, eh?
I guess. I don't know. I think everyone's just confused at this point. So now there's been all this chaos, and, Rhaenys is, she's flying, she's leaving because she's like, okay, my work here is done. But then she's like, you know what? No, I got to do this. So she orders Meleys to go back, and she's like, she goes right after Vhagar, and then they start attacking. Oh, shush phone. Sorry, everyone. I had my phone on because I was expecting a package, but I can turn it off. So now it's just more dragon fighting, and they're going right at it.
So Vhagar attacks Meleys, and then they're spinning around and fire everywhere, and people are getting crushed on the ground. Criston gets knocked off his horse. Unfortunately, not hard enough. We find out later. And then Meleys is looking tired, and Rhaenys is looking really tired. And then Vhagar, basically, this is where she's trying to fly. She's like, well, I don't see the dragon anymore. So she keeps flying, and she's like, I'm going to fly over this castle, the only thing in the road, surely nothing's hiding behind that. And then Vhagar comes straight up and grabs the neck of Meleys and starts thrashing it, and
like basically strangles it. And this is not unlike when Vhagar killed Luke, when Luke had a big battle and then finally got into safety and was like, everything is fine. And then Vhagar once again did a sneak attack and killed Luke. So this was, because for a moment it looked like, okay, they had a really bad fight, but now they're going to go their separate ways, because it looked like Vhagar was retreating to the woods, etc. But and then lo and behold, Vhagar comes out of nowhere from behind the structure, bites Meleys's neck, strangles Meleys essentially, and at this point, now Rhaenys does her big dramatic death where she starts to fall back down towards earth, and she puts her hands out like, ha! And they just fall onto the castle and break through the walls.
And it stuck because, well, she's such a good actor, but you see just multiple times in this fight where she's like, well, this is it for me. You know what I mean? She's like, well, I guess I have to go back and fight this fucker, so I'll do it. But she just has this resigned look in her face, like, this is it. And then when that dragon finally gets her, she's just like, oh, well, fuck. And then you just see her falling back, and she just lets go. Like, oh, God, here
she's
we
like,
go.
Fuck it. Oh, I forgot to tell Alan of Hall my recipe for gazpacho. Shit. Oh, well, I guess he'll die with me.
So Criston comes back up, and he's like, oh my God, we got to find the king. We got to find the king. And he touches this one guy. He's like, hey, where's the king? You seen the king? And he touches the armor, and the armor just falls apart, and it's just all ash inside because the dragons burn really hot fire. So he's touching a dusty guy. And then he finds Aemond, Loridern, and Lord, I love that Aemon's just like, ooh, found a pretty knife. And picks up a gorgeous dagger, a bejeweled dagger off the ground. And what's his buns? Criston is like, where's my king? Where's Princey Pooh? And Aemon just points over like, he's over there. I call the dagger.
Yeah, because I think it's a special dagger. I think it was Aegon's dagger. So
yes, of course. It's right by the scene of the crime, darling.
It's a special kingly dagger. And so, that's the end. So next week, the scenes for next week, we see them bringing the body back. And I guess Aegon is dead, or seems to be dead. I guess we'll find out. But that was it. It was a big, shocking episode, huh?
I have to say, I hate watching the dragons kill each other.
Same.
I do not like that. I'm fine with the humans dying. It's kind of like in real life. Like, they show murder and death and war and everything else on the news and on Twitter and everything. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm desensitized. But man, you show a dog getting mistreated and I'll get really upset. And it turns out that extends to dragons. It upsets me. I do not liking it. I do not like it. When Vhagar grabbed the neck of Meleys and choked it to death and then broke its neck, that was not okay.
So rude.
I got a little squirty.
I was mad, and especially because we know that this is going to lead to basically dragon extinction for hundreds of years until, of course, Game of Thrones.
I mean, which is probably for the best, honestly. It doesn't look really fun for anybody else, but it's still rough to watch. I don't like to watch all that.
Yeah,
I mean, I do like to watch it. I love the getting there, but the actual dragons being in pain, I don't love that. But humans, keep killing them. That's fun. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for being with us for another week of Game of the Dragons show.
Yes. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you next week on Winter is Crappening, and we'll be here all the rest of the week on Watch What Crappens, recapping our Bravo stuff. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye, everyone.
Bye.